This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No. Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Welcome to DBL. It is Wednesday, correct?
It is.
Okay, I'm good to know. We're starting today out of a story with Florida. I don't know if you all have heard, but we're going to catch you up if you haven't. So, fifth grade teacher there is under investigation for, quote, indoctrination. Now, let me paint the picture. She showed her class a PG Disney movie. It's called Strange World. The movie includes a gay character who talks about his crush on another boy in the film. Now, a parent complained, resulting in this investigation. The reason this is such a big deal is because Florida, as you might know, recently expanded its so-called Don't Say Gay law that prohibits classroom instruction about gender and sexuality. Well, today, a representative from the state's Department of Education is reportedly now questioning students about the incident. The teacher is responding to all of this. Let's take a look at what the teacher had to say.
Is a character in the movie LGBTQ? Absolutely. Is that why I showed it? No. I have a lot of fifth grade students who have come to me this year, long before showing this movie, talking about how they're part of that community as well. The reason I was turned in is because one of the split students was a school board member's daughter. That school board member is currently on a rampage to get rid of every form of representation out of our schools. They're using it against me, saying they're protecting the children and it's for their safety. But what is this actually showing them?
So just so you know, that school board member, Shannon Rodriguez, also said it's not a teacher's job to impose their beliefs upon a child, religious, sexual orientation, gender identity, any of the above. And as a leader, I'm not going to stand by and allow this minority to infiltrate our schools. She went on to finish, God did put me here. Erica, thoughts?
So the teachers aren't to have any say or any influence on religion, but we're supposed to stop down because God just put you here and nobody else?
That's correct.
I mean, it really reeks of delusion, and I really feel like a lot of times when we're having these conversations and people are having these crusades against, representation, first of all, I find it fascinating that this mother, who apparently also is a nurse, or at least went to school to be a nurse and is a business owner, finds this much time in her day. Like the idea, I thought we all had 24 hours, but maybe this is impressive. That's impressive to me, really, honestly. But I think that this is all really kind of like an agenda to make people stuck on stupidity, because the idea of the kids watching this movie, and that's indoctrination. Like, we've had people talk about children having to show or prove their genitalia in order to play on certain sports teams. That's grooming and indoctrination. So I don't understand what the point is here. Also, I just want to be very clear, as someone who comes from a mother who is a professor,
an educator,
university level, many educators in my family, there is a war on the School of Educations across the country. Enrollment is so far down. What are we going to do when no one wants to go into teaching anymore?
Yeah, right.
I feel like a lot of these people, especially people who are advocating against these public school systems and against these teachers who are already having to be security guards, they already have to be, surrogate parents in some instances. They are underpaid, they're underappreciated, and they're essentially being bullied out of the profession. So who is going to teach your children? And I give it like 5 years, and we have a pretty substantial teacher shortage as it is.
5 years.
I mean, Tori, what question did you ask me right before we came on the air? Do you remember? You said, would you be a teacher again?
I said, in Florida especially, would you ever try and be a teacher again?
And I said no. And I can speak on this directly, Kabi, because I was a teacher in Florida for 5 years, and I taught middle school science. And the process that she's talking about is very simple. When you have an end of the semester, end of the year test, the state allots almost an extra amount of time, because there are kids that finish tests on a lower, so you almost give people almost double the amount of time that they'll probably need to accommodate the other students and not ostracize them and make them go into another room. So where there might be a student that needs to take the test for 40 minutes, there would be 1 or 2 or 3 that need to take the test for 70. So they're allowed to finish that test in the room, and the other students would all go to Mr. Jackson's class. You'd send your students, and I would have a video on because our books are closed. The year is over. There's no more learning to be done. I used to show The Scorpion King with the guy from The Whale, Brendan Fraser. Yeah, that was like that movie. The kids love that movie. And so, you know, I couldn't imagine now somebody saying, you're trying to say that's a king over the Lord Jesus Christ. I could not imagine what it's like to be a teacher now, where, Erica, all you have to do is, you're kind of overselling it. All you have to do is become an educator, learn how to operate a firearm, in a situation where there might be a moving armed target with military-grade weaponry. And then when you're done with your training, Erica, then you go through, and even though the movies that you have been allowed to show because they are on the PG select list, you still need to go through and look at those movies and then see if there's any indoctrination as well. That's all you have to do for basically the state minimum, on top of dealing with COVID, on top of dealing with students that haven't been in a classroom in 2 years, on top of dealing with parents that are screaming in your face, calling you everything but the devil himself. That's all you have to do, be a teacher or go into any other profession where you don't have to deal with this.
Or pay for your own school supplies.
Hey,
because,
that's right. Okay.
Yeah,
no,
so
they took the teacher tax credit away because, Erica, but teachers were balling out with that.
Right.
So let's be honest.
Let me be honest to also add, you also get to lose your constitutional rights, which is so fascinating to me. Here's my problem with this is the students literally are losing their First Amendment rights to be able to read and learn words. Period. That's one thing. And secondly, this seems to be against the First Amendment rights of the authors, who also have put that out. And I assume the ACLU will take this to the court or someone to say this is breaking the First Amendment rights of these students and these authors. But here's the second thing I want to say. If the law, and I'm going to play the other side here, says no gender identity, no sexual orientation whatsoever, then what the heck was a heterosexual couple doing kissing in the same movie these kids saw? Are you trying to tell me that you're fine with the hypocrisy of only one gender? Because that's against a special recognized class. Other than that, how absurd is it that kids who are gay have heard of heterosexual narrative for years and no one has been indoctrinated to become heterosexual in that way? I find it absurd. I find it fascist. I find it. If I said in this country we have a government employee coming to question an 11-year-old about a certain movie that might be banned, I would think that's Germany in 1939. Yeah. I'm not putting it down. I'm simply saying this smells of a history we have already consumed.
And just attacking the very fundamental, the basic premise of their argument that if you put a video on, it's going to indoctrinate them. Well, why doesn't that work for all types of education? It should be like Neo from, The Matrix. I should be able to put a videotape on the life cycle of the butterfly, and you should just know it. Because as soon as you see it,
you become the butterfly.
You're indoctrinated with it. So we could knock out all of college in a few videotapes, according to this logic.
Correct.
And let's not forget, and let's pull back and get the full view of this. Don't forget, we're seeing libraries also be closed because of lack of funding, because they have been, and just because of sheer harassment. They're harassing 70-year-old librarians, and to the point where libraries are now closing. So we're starting to lose access to learning in the outside
It's all about clogging the system. Just like people bring frivolous lawsuits to clog up the judicial system, this is being used frivolously to clog up the educational system. It's all about the pipeline. It's all about who has access. And the crazy part about it is so many people are voting against the best interests of themselves and their children. And watch what happens, because the only color that matters at this point is green. And if you ain't got it, I suggest you get on board and understand whose interests you're actually voting for.
Coming up on DBL, the incredible story of a woman recalls how she fought for her life after a horrific boating accident. And Johnny Depp gets a 7-minute standing ovation. It's an ovation. It's French. In the Cannes Film Festival, is this the beginning of a major comeback?
I like that suit.
DBL, this show is amazing.
There's a lot going on down here.
I would have been part of the Mile High Club.
Yeah.
So on point.
But I'm gonna have a conversation about what's happening now.
Yeah, I never saw this coming and even the years on this show that we've been doing this, you know, there's that thing where you see storylines start to develop, and we kind of saw it during the pandemic. I think people realized that, oh, we can bully these school board members by yelling at them. We can, and then it kind of went into the libraries where they started going, why is this book here? Why is this section here?
Right.
And now it's transitioning into teachers. We saw the attack on teachers with them kind of taking the blame for not stepping up and arming themselves during these school shootouts.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine asking Al to be a sharpshooter, a representative of eliminating any kind of gender identity, any kind of racial part of history? You would be able to teach nothing.
Do you know what the hallways look like?
It's the point. It's working. They're working the system against itself so that we sit here and have these conversations. It's almost like if somebody, you have like a person that, okay, you just have a stupid person, right? They bring your stupidity
there's people out there.
to you, and you have to fight against their stupidity, as opposed to, so it's not about the issue, it's about clogging the system. It's about you spinning your wheels, and these teachers using these resources, and the school board using these resources, until they're so worn down on something that is so nonsensical that they give in. Or that your voice becomes your very minority voice, which is interesting that she used that terminology.
I agree with you.
Because she has the most minority voice out of all.
I agree with you.
But her minority voice is going to be the loudest because of persistence. That's how you wear people down.
And that's what happens when you think God sent you to do something.
Jesse,
30.
Welcome back. Is this Johnny Depp's big comeback? His new French film opened at the Cannes Film Festival yesterday. Johnny plays King Louis XV, who was known for a scandalous affair with a prostitute. Now, he's got about 12 lines in the film, all of them en français, in French. Following the screening, Johnny got a 7-minute standing ovation from the crowd, leaving him a little teary-eyed, if you can imagine. During the press conference, Johnny was asked if he felt like he was being boycotted by Hollywood. Here's Johnny's response.
I don't feel boycotted by Hollywood because I don't think about it. I don't think about Hollywood. I don't have much further need for Hollywood myself. I don't know how you guys feel, but yeah, I think it's a very strange, funny time where everybody would love to be able to be themselves, but they can't.
They can't at Cannes.
That was funny.
Thank you.
I like that.
Does Johnny Depp need Hollywood? Does he need it?
Everybody needs it. Because after a while, Erica, you know, depending on what your lifestyle is,
right.
As we saw that, you know, my man's run through some cash.
I know.
So, look, if you can start a small YouTube channel, if you can live on small YouTube channel money, if you have,
that's a good point.
You know, proclivities that make you want to buy more expensive things for whatever reason, you might need a little Hollywood in there.
Yeah. No, it is true. I mean, it really depends on the lifestyle that he wants to lead this point forward. I think he just got a $20 million endorsement.
Right, from Sauvage, his cologne.
You mean,
He's always dressed like that in real life. So that's
right. But I mean, $20 million to Johnny Depp, I think, wasn't he talking about having like a $40,000 week? Like wine
I was going to say the wine issue is bad.
So maybe if you cut down on that.
Yeah. We have a documentary. She just ends there. Well, speaking of Cannes, it was a family affair on the red carpet for some stars. Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones attended the premiere of Johnny Depp's film with their 20-year-old daughter, Karis, and posed on the red carpet, look how cute this is, by kissing Michael on the cheek.
Such a cute staged photo.
Yes, it is. Uma Thurman attended the premiere in this pale pink Christian Dior gown with a large red overcoat and a choker on her neck. She brought along her 21-year-old son,
Oh,
Levi.
my God.
And Thurman, they look exactly the same.
Certainly
Hawk,
do.
who
so
looks
cute.
just like her. His dad, I assume, is Ethan Hawke, formerly with him. That's interesting. Woo, Naomi Campbell looks stunning in this long silver gown with diamond cuffs and a poker straight hair. But everyone was talking about 77-year-old Dame Helen Mirren. I got to take a look. Who showed up with blue hair in a messy updo to match the dress. She also held up a fan with #WorthIt written on it, which I assume is the L'Oreal slogan in which she works for as well. How do we think? Everyone looking good? Like the blue?
Yes, I know Dame Helen Mirren is your girl.
Oh,
y'all nearly passed out when she was on the show.
I was recovering from Naomi Campbell. Is she just like in some kind of cryogenic chamber?
What is she taking?
She's not aging.
Some kind of pill or something?
Stan Naomi Campbell, unapologetically herself, advocated for herself and opened the doors for others. People called her every name but the child of God. And look at her, she's still standing and she is fabulous.
She is flawless, unbelievable. And the blue hair, I really liked it, kind of a Smurf look. Coming up on DBL, I liked it. A woman who fought for her life after a boating accident while snorkeling shares this remarkable survival story. You're going to want to watch it. Stay tuned, or stick tuned.
Take a look at this video. Hundreds of people rushing across a bridge, seemingly passing through some sort of checkpoint. It was posted this week by a Republican congressman from Arizona who claimed it was a surge of migrants that constituted a, quote, invasion of our homeland. He blamed the Biden administration, saying it hasn't taken enough action following the expiration of Title 42, a policy that allowed the U.S. to quickly turn people away at the border. But does this video actually show migrants entering America after the end of Title 42? Let's verify. Our sources are video forensics tools Revi and Invid, video and reporting from the Associated Press, and follow-up statements made by the congressman himself. We did a reverse search to see if we could identify where and when the video was originally recorded, and we found a match. Here's the viral video. You can see a man in a hoodie and green hat jumping over some sort of fence. And here's a video posted by the Associated Press in March. You can see the same crowd on the same bridge, and right here, that same guy in the green hat and hoodie. So this video was recorded months before Title 42 expired. And it doesn't show migrants crossing the border. It shows them getting on a bridge from Mexico that goes to the U.S., but getting stopped by American agents who had erected barricades. AP reported that after a standoff, the migrants eventually left the bridge and returned to Mexico. 2 days after his original post, Congressman Eli Crane replied to the video to clarify this specific surge was filmed before the end of Title 42. So we can verify, no, this video does not show migrants entering the U.S. after Title 42 expired. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
Welcome back. Being on a boat for a day of snorkeling can be a dream, but we all know that anything can happen out in the ocean. And earlier, we spoke with Amor Armitage, who suffered horrific injuries in a boat accident. And before we hear her story, a quick warning to our viewers, some of the content in this story may be graphic.
December 17th, 2022, Amor and her husband Chase were in Mexico for vacation.
We had planned to go on a boat trip. I was going to do snorkeling and free diving. I was swimming and I got cold, so I swam towards the boat and I held onto the boat's ladder. I took off one fin and I was holding that with my hand when I felt that the boat started moving. I noticed that the captain didn't see me. I felt that something hit me in the stomach and on my legs, and I screamed, and it was like a visceral scream that came out very loud, and I cried for help.
The captain realized what happened, but could not turn the boat around. Amor had to make her way back to the boat on her own.
I knew that I needed to see my husband. I knew that I wanted to see him if I was going to die. Once Chase got there, he was begging me to be strong, and he would tell me how much he loved me and that I was going to survive. When I was in the ambulance, I saw this very bright, super bright light, and I just remember feeling almost forgetting about the pain and just feeling a sense of ease and harmony. But I knew that if I stayed there, I would not come back.
Chilling. Here to tell us more about her story, Amor joins us live. Thank you for joining us today. Wow.
I have so many questions. Let's start here. We just heard you describing your near-death experience in the ambulance. What helped you stay here? You described that light, almost like, you know, I'm a religious person, so I get what you were describing. But what made you want to stay here?
It was my husband's voice that helped me stay close, because he would be telling me, like, please be strong. He was holding my hand, and I felt that it was the easy option to just go to sleep. It felt quite like harmonious to go towards that rest, but at the same time it was love that didn't let me go and pulled me back. I could not leave him.
Tell us just a little bit about your injuries and how you were helped out in Mexico. So what occurred?
So I had many lacerations through my lower abdomen, my genitals, my groin, my leg. And in Mexico, I had a few surgeries, and it was mainly to first save my life, to close all the wounds, all the scars. And I had also to get my femoral artery saved. And so it took a couple of surgeries to get that done.
Wow. Wow. You were in the hospital in Mexico for about 3 weeks before being transferred home to the UK. So what were the next steps once you arrived in the UK?
In the UK, there was a lot of effort to save my leg. The doctors in Mexico did a great job saving my life and also keeping infections away from my body, because there was a high propensity to get infection as my accident was in the water. So the surgeries were to fix a groin, to place a muscle over the femoral artery, get my shin covered as well, because there wasn't much flesh in there to protect it, to protect my bone. So then they had to cut half of my gastrocnemius, my calf muscle, and put it on top of the bone that had lost a big chunk of bone. They filled the bone, and then they fixed the tendon as well.
My gosh.
I have to kind of clarify this for our audience. Obviously, we're talking about this in the past tense, but this was only 5 months ago. And recently, let's get some good news in here. You reached a huge milestone in your recovery. So let's talk about some good stuff. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so a month ago, I was able to give my first steps.
Yay.
I was able to walk, and so that's the most amazing thing. Yeah.
Amor, thank you for sharing your bravery, your story. To our viewers, follow Amor on Instagram at Yoga Blisscipline to see more of her recovery. We'll be right back. Thank you, Amor.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Since 2020, the Food and Drug Administration has required men who have sex with men to abstain from sex for 3 months prior to giving blood. And it required people taking medication or treatment to prevent HIV infection, such as PrEP, to wait 3 months after their most recent dose before donating. According to the FDA, this pre-screening eliminates up to 90% of donors who may be carrying a blood-borne disease like HIV or hepatitis. But a recent tweet claims the FDA has changed that rule, now allowing gay and bisexual men in monogamous relationships to donate blood without the wait. But is that true? Let's verify. Our sources are the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the American Red Cross, and Vitalant. On May 11th, the FDA finalized new guidelines on evaluating blood donor eligibility. The new policy allows men who have sex with men to give blood without having to abstain from sex for 3 months if they are in a monogamous relationship. Under the new guidelines, PrEP users will still need to wait 3 months after their most recent dose before donating. Vitalant, a nonprofit blood donation center with more than 100 locations in the U.S., says the new policy marks the first time in 40 years that blood donor eligibility is evaluated regardless of sexual orientation or gender, while maintaining the safety of the blood supply. So we can verify, yes, the FDA has changed its blood donation guidelines. Now, men who have sex with men can donate blood without having to abstain from sex for 3 months if they're in a monogamous relationship. Both Vitalant and the American Red Cross announced they will follow the FDA's latest guidance, but say it'll take a few weeks before they can start implementing the new rule. With your Verify, I'm Ariane Till.
This May, escape to paradise with a family all-inclusive vacation experience to any of the beach's resorts, with 3 spectacular locations in the Caribbean to choose from. Watch DBL every day for a word of the day. Then enter at dailyblastlive.com/beaches for your chance to win a 4-day, 3-night beaches resort stay for a family of 4 to a beaches resorts destination in Jamaica or Turks and Caicos. The winner will be announced on DBL May 24th. Stop dreaming and start entering for your chance to win the perfect family getaway, where everyone will enjoy the Caribbean's best beaches and everything all included.
Are you skeptical of headlines and what you see on social media? We are too. The Verify newsletter helps you distinguish between true and false information by answering your questions. It provides fast facts on trending topics, spotlights major stories, and even includes a daily fun fact for all those trivia buffs out there. Get Verify's fast facts delivered every weekday to your email inbox. Go to verifythis.com/email to check it out.
Escape to paradise for your chance to win the perfect family getaway. Watch DBL every day for a word of the day. Then enter at dailyblastlive.com/beaches for your chance to win a 4-day, 3-night beaches resort stay for a family of 4 to a beaches resorts destination in Jamaica or Turks and Caicos. Today's beaches resorts word of the day is sun. The winner will be announced on DBL May 24th.
And emote.
Welcome back. We almost guessed the word of the day. If you're like some of us here, chances are you might be driving with your pets in the car from time to time. Well, we've got some tips to make sure those trips are safe and stress-free. That's today's Auto Alert, sponsored by Ox Car Care. First, everyone needs a seatbelt, so secure your pet with a car harness in the back. Al, don't roll your eyes. Next, invest in some pet-friendly accessories like carpet and seat covers. And finally,
that's cute.
I think that's darling, isn't it? Look at that, Bobo. Don't forget to clean off those paw prints and nose streaks from the doors and windows.
Please.
Ox Car Care is dedicated to providing you with an amazing auto protection plan experience that works with your budget. If you're looking for better car care, give them a call. 1-800-687-1821. We hope you have a fantastic hump day.
Yes. And for the record, I'm down with the dog harness.
Dog harness?
Yes.
He's down, guys.
Absolutely.
See you tomorrow.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
No.